Yeah, this is to hopefully make you all even more enthusiastic about sash windows than you are already. To impart to you the history and the origins of the sash window, and hopefully through that you can pass that on to your customers. Not only does it make, when you're dealing with your clients or dealing with professionals, it makes you more confident, more informed, and it creates a better impression. And I just hope at the end of the day the result is the preservation of more and the installation of more sash windows. A lot of these windows are important historical documents. They're unique to the house they're in. They're unique to your own heritage in this area. And whenever you can, especially with the old ones, with the early 19th century ones, with the 18th century ones, it is very, very important that they should be preserved. This is a house that you'd find, typical medieval house in a big town or a city, very narrow frontage, very high, with the jettying, each floor jettying over the other. The ground floor is a shop, it's got shutters in it, front door. And then on the windows, on the first floor and the second floor, you'll see they've got a transom. Above the transom would be leaded lights, fixed lights, and then below that, between each pair of mullions, vertically sliding shutters. The concept, this is the 15th century, the idea of a vertically sliding window, and I say, they would have thought of these as windows. Here's a manuscript from the same period, again a shop on the ground floor, and you can see quite clearly, and even you can see the leaded lights up above, and below the transom, vertically sliding shutters in various positions. Obviously the daylight came in, these weren't closed, there was always light coming through these, and you could let the fresh air in, or some more light, just depending on the weather. So you can see how people used those, fixing them at various positions with pegs or hooks. They certainly weren't counterbalanced. And here's a very nice line drawn of the same sort of shutter, inside and out, and just showing how it slid up and down in a groove. There's a groove in the mullion there, or in the jamb, I should say, on that particular instance. And the shutter slides up and down in a groove there, pegged in position. This is a plate, an engraving from about 1633, and you can see in the background what look, I mean, to us would say, oh, it's sash windows. I can assure you these aren't sash windows, for the simple reason that the sash window has yet to be invented. These are vertically sliding windows, and they're held in position with pegs or hooks, and that's why the French call them fenêtres à guillotine, because sometimes them pegs come out. Hopefully not when you're looking out the window. It's rather peculiar that people forgot where the sash window came from. We certainly had plenty of them. Upwards of 100 million in these islands, apparently. A long history, most popular window ever in the British Isles, a window that we really took to our hearts around about 1680, 1690, used in Hampton Court Palace, used in big houses like Chatsworth. It was the must-have window in the late 17th century, but no one really knew, or people had rather forgotten where they came from. The royal court came back to England, and they'd been in exile in France, and they'd been used to this luxurious standard of living. This is the sort of window that the Queen would have found in her apartment. It's what the French call a croisée window, what we call a cross window, or called a cross window for the obvious reasons. Central mullion, single transom, fixed lights above with the vertical bars there. Usually the bars run the other way, but in quality houses they seem to run that way because they act as security devices to keep the... Somewhere in the royal apartments, probably the Queen's apartments, an English joiner invented the sash window. This is from London, it's from Covent Garden. It dates from about 1707. And you can see what they worked out this idea chopping it. I mean, still plenty of work in itself, chopping the channel out the back of the jamb. And this is, as you can see, this is solid work. That bead is worked out on the front. That's the equivalent of your front lining, of course, your outside lining. And also the head is solid. The architrave I've worked in the solid. And again, your front lining work in the solid. Can you believe that in 1990, in the middle of London, they pulled these windows out and threw them in a skip? Huh? Where were the professionals? Because these windows, like the other crossway windows, they had a load bearing. Obviously, they were considered to be load bearing. You know, they were part of the structure of the building. And as they took these out and threw them in the skip, the arches started to collapse. I mean, it's absolutely appalling. But it's an amazing survival. It has been hacked about a bit. But wonderful. And actually, the quality of that timber there is about 200 years of growth across there. I'll have a close look at it. It's lovely thing.
Do you reckon that's a British timber, or is that?
Oh no, that's from a long way north. When you get those really tight annular, I mean, you're really up near, you're up Archangel, or the north of the Baltic anyway. The other thing I want to point out here, the inside that lining and the outside lining are softwood. Yeah. But the pulley style and the staff bead are oak. The staff bead and the pulley style was meant to be seen, and obviously the outside linings, you can see the tide mark of the brickwork there, that was for paint. And of course the inside lining wasn't seen at all because it was inside the shutter box. You can see the witness mark of the shutter hinge there. Just imagine how much would that put on the price of a sash window if you had to make 4 of them every time. They're beautifully made. You can see the setting out marks, everything on there. All I did was cut a little piece of that to use as a pattern, and then I ground that up. The grinding took 1.5 minutes, and then I finished it off with a couple of files, and that took another 3 minutes. Alright, it's not perfect, but you know, with a little bit of glass paper, and by the time it's got a couple of coats of paint, nobody will ever know. So that's one particular way. You can also, if you've got holes and rounds, and you can find them in junk shops, or you can even make yourself, they're not just the same as that throating plane. You know, a couple of simple holes and rounds will allow you to make all sorts, in combination with a really plane, will allow you to make all sorts of mouldings. It's not really difficult. You soon get a hang of it. This is a sort of before and after window. It's a window about 1864. It's a window that would have been pretty old-fashioned in 1864, but it's like a lot of old-fashioned windows is at the back of the house. I'd say the man that made this was probably quite old. I'd say he was probably trained 30 or 40 years earlier, and he was making a window in a style that he was used to, but at the back of the house, using, you know, quite cheap, small pieces of improved sunlight glass. So that's the state in which it was in. By the way, it's already been repaired once. It's already had these linings replaced once, on this side anyway. So what I've done, I've stripped the paint back, and I've shown various draft-proofing details that you can use on this. You know, it's on the brush on the meeting rail, compressible tennis racket shape on the top and bottom rails, and then brush behind the staff bead and on the parting bead. Very elementary, very straightforward. And then I've also made this very plain shutter, plain boarded shutter, clamped at the ends. In fact, the clamping is very straightforward. That's held on with dominoes. Have any of you got into dominoes yet?
Oh, is that the thing you used on that?
No, domino, no. It's festoon. Domino system. It's a handheld jiggler. So that's how it would be normally set up on the bench. Using a square and rod just to check the diagonals before the wedges are driven in. So obviously this is the sill. These are the pulley styles. Just going like that. See this housing made for them.
wedge would be obviously a bit longer in practice, driven in hard, and then a couple of nails put down through it.
Would you glue this?
Sorry?
Would you glue this?
Oh yeah, I would. Yeah, but not in these particular circumstances. As you, this is actually tongue and grooved together, which is a bit of a luxury model. We'll see some examples of quite old sashes, box frames, where they haven't bothered to do that. Most of them are butted, even though all of the guides for carpenters. I should put the head on there first, really. All the guides for carpenters, Nicholson and the like, all show them. I mean, you won't find a technical drawing that doesn't show them tongue and groove together. But as you can see, the common practice as it is today was just to butt and nail them. But of course you can specify that they're tongue and groove together. But of course once they're put together you can never really see whether they were actually tongue and groove together, although you can see from here. So that's how it goes together. There's the pulley styles, there's the head, there's the outside lining. Stuff has been in my cellar for about 2 years. It's not going together quite as neatly as it should. But I think you can see there's the inside lining. You can see how a cased frame goes together. See why it's sometimes called a box sash window. There's the outside lining, outside head lining. And the inside head lining just put it in. There is one example there where it's actually tongue and groove, where the inside lining is tongue and grooved across the head. And that's typical of Georgian practice with the two-part architrave. They always, Georgian architrave has got a long flat area, then a small road at the edge, and they always seem to have tongue and grooved those together. But for the obvious reason, you don't want to get any movement between the two components. And then there's a block usually goes in here, just to give you something to fix the headline. So, that's how a sash window goes together.
What about the bottom part where the sill is? You cut that little recess out for water to get out?
Sorry?
The bottom.
That's modern practice.
Oh,
This is a copy of a window of 1820. I'm just showing what. So that is a good idea to put that notch in.
So that's
That's a modern idea. Yeah.
Sorry, where's
In
that
fact-
notch? Where's that notch you cut out? On the sill?
No, on the outside lining,
Oh,
because
okay.
the potential for water to get trapped there.
Oh, okay, so on the outside line, it's got to step out of
But
it.
somebody was telling me a nice detail they did. They do a scallop just off the corner. The scallop off the corner, so from the front, the outside lining just runs down. They just leave about a quarter of an eighth of that, and so it's less of a trap. Nice detail, that. Is that a particularly Cornish detail?
Yeah, it is Cornish. We actually haunch them back as well,
Yeah, of course you
but
would.
in line with your pulley style groove,
Yes, of course. Yeah,
and then just knock the corner off. Yeah,
yeah. On the inside.
yeah, only on the inside. Yeah. Well, you do them on the inside, or some people do scallop on the right head.
Yeah, but it's still,
I've seen them done
it's a
both
very
ways.
nice detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We'll call that the Cornish detail. The Cornish scallop. Yes.